Hello, my name is Dmytro Savenkov. I'm CEO of Meerland, Ukraine, and this is Viktor Fuchs, who is General Manager of C5C Freight Forwarding Association and also shareholder of it.
That's right.
Yeah, we would like to talk a few minutes about Freight Forwarding Association business and what's the strategy, what's the targets, aims, so on and so on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, very welcome. Thank you for joining this interview for Freight Forwarding Stories channel. Here is your story, right? So, Viktor, C5C, connecting 5 continents.
Right.
It was registered in 2007. So
17 years now.
Now it's 17 years, yes. Can you remember, can you tell us what was your vision, what was your strategy, why you decided to follow this brand new market for you, from freight forwarder activities to be kind of leader and chef of community and so on, please.
Well, as you know, both Helmut and me, we've been active in the forwarding industry before. Mm-hmm. And but we've also been active in the networking industry before, so C5C is not our first network. We started some years earlier with our very first network, which was AUP, Air and Ocean Partners back then. Mm-hmm. And our strategy and our vision with the networks is a little bit different to compared to other networks. We are not really aiming to become the largest, the biggest network. Being a forwarder myself, I love I'd prefer a mid-sized network beyond anything else. So that was also our vision from the very first start. When we started with the Air and Ocean Partners, we wanted to have a certain coverage, only a few members per city, per country, to have on the one hand a certain variety within the network, but on the other hand not to let it grow too big where you have too much competition inside the same group. Yeah. And very quickly we came to the point with AUP that most of the markets were already covered after a short time. Mm-hmm. And that brought us actually to the idea of opening a new network, C5C, independent from the first one. Mm-hmm. That was the idea behind it. Back then the world of networks was a little bit different than it is today. I think, 17, 20 years ago, there was maybe a dozen or 2 dozen of networks, all well-established ones. While today, I don't know, it's got to be 200, 300, 400 networks.
Too many of them.
I stopped counting. But on the other hand, there's also so many forwarders out there. So
yes, absolutely.
Which is not a problem in the end. Then
so
I guess.
People need to be in a community, right? That's maybe
which is very important. Yeah. Which is very important. I think
communication is a key, right?
Absolutely. Now I think that being part of a group is that maybe is the reason for the success of networks, because it is really essential for a forwarder's success, for all our success, to be a part of a community, to have the community as your backbone, and to enjoy the support of this community, and to utilize the community for your own business on a daily basis. I mean, let's face it, we're all small, mid-sized forwarders, and we're swimming like fish among the shark. Yes. Big competition. I don't know whether I can call names here, but we all know who are the big ones. Let's call it the big ones.
Yeah, big guys.
The big guys, yeah. And on a day-to-day basis, we need to muscle them, right? We need to fight against them, fight against their rates, also fight against their service, their financial strength, and also their global network. And I think, like I said, being a forwarder myself, my perspective, my view on running a logistics network is very much driven from my own daily experience being a forwarder. So that's what we're trying to bring in as best as we can.
Yeah, so we can say that freight forwarding network is kind of tool to be able to compete with big guys, for sure.
Right.
And my next question was actually, After these 17 years, what do you think? The result is good? Did you achieve what you were planning, or
absolutely, absolutely? We have a wonderful group.
Yes.
I mean, while we're recording this interview, we have
yes.
almost 200 people, a few floors below.
But too many friends are out for this conference. We didn't think that. We can imagine if everybody will be gathered.
The hotel wouldn't fit us in. Absolutely.
So we need more space for that. For
absolutely,
sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now I'm really content looking back over the last 17 years, looking back on the developments. I'm very, very satisfied with the growth of the network
and results,
with the result of the network today. When you look back on the last 17 years, there's been a lot of difficult times. Talking about recent times, we have wars, we had a global pandemic. Going even back to the days where we started the network, I mean, we initiated the network in 2007. 2008 came the financial crisis,
yes.
Yes, which made us think like, okay, what's happening now? What will the network become in such difficult times with a global crisis? But in the end, actually, it turned out to be even an advantage for us.
It's a challenge. People say that any crisis is
absolutely.
A challenge. Yes.
And I think also the fact that the world is becoming more difficult with, for example, a global crisis, any difficulty ahead makes an association like ours become even more important to every single forwarder, because, like I mentioned earlier, if the association is the backbone,
yes, yeah.
then you need to have a strong backbone, not only in the good days, but especially in the difficult times.
Thank you for answer. Another question is, there is an opinion that freight forwarding business now is a good business because, as you said already, there are too many networks, 200 or 300. Yeah. So, and I may say I see that two different ways. The first way, it's make very close society, like family stuff. It's, you know, very limited members, selected by some, I don't know, any specific issues concerning to any specific network. But there is another way. It's multiple. Like, for example, when number of members exceeded, sometimes networks make new ones. Like, for example, okay, the leader of industry, WCA, completely different strategy, as much members as possible, so on, so on, so on. I'm not member of WCA. I'm just share now general information. You know. So what's your strategy? Because you also have multiple networks like C5C, AOI, as you said, the first one, then project partners, and so on, so on.
Yeah.
So when number of people exceeded, you are going to open new freight forwarding networks, and then the question is, if you go by multiple way, what's the difference in marketing, in commercial approach, and so on? Can you share this?
So right now it's a total of 5 networks which we're operating, plus 1,000 members offices all over the world. So we have reached quite a decent size already over the last years. On the other hand, each and every network still has a family-style character, which you also noticed over the last days,
because,
and which is exactly, and that means a lot to me. By the end of the day, everybody has to make his own decision which network fits me better. I mean, whether you enjoy more to be in a big platform like the WCA, for example, where you have this variety of thousands of members, which is just incredible. I mean, no envy. I think Mr. David Jochum has achieved something incredible and unseen in this logistics world so far. On the other hand, you might rather say, nah, I'm staying away from these big associations. I would rather want to go for a family-style network.
Or I don't have too much business to spread for.
It's not only the amount of business. I think it's also a question, how comfortable do you feel to be in such a big world, and how comfortable do you feel to be in a smaller group? because
Very good explanation.
big world with thousands of agents doesn't automatically mean that you get 1,000 times or 100 times more business than you do in a mid-sized network.
Yes.
I think maybe it even creates more opportunity to be in a mid-sized or in a smaller network, because simply you can create and establish deeper relationship. That is also what I like about our conferences. It's not several thousands of people who are just walking around like ants. No, it's a family-style character. Everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
And you spend all the time together and enjoy yourselves, enjoy the company of the others.
Business come later. Yeah.
Exactly. And over these few days while we are here, you can really establish and deepen the friendship and deepen the relationship. And I think that is what really matters. It's not about, for me personally, and I think for that counts for our members who have taken that choice to be with us, have taken that decision. They want to go for the relationship and not just for hunting name cards. Coming back from a conference with 500, 600, 700 new name cards, what's the deal?
No,
Coming back home from a conference with a dozen new relationships, I think that is what matters more, and that is what actually gets you further in your day-to-day business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my opinion, not as your interviewer, but like freight forwarder who is a member of a few networks already. Right. This is not. It's always subject for expectations.
Right.
I mean, business never come fast. It's a long story.
Takes time.
It takes time. You have to visit conferences to talk to people, and then business coming, not other way around. Yes. Yeah. So understand. Thank you.
On the other hand, there may be good reasons to join such a big event as well. I mean, thousands of people are doing it every year, so obviously they're not just going there for the fun, but they see the benefits and the profits returning out of these conferences.
Fun also, yes.
Fun also matters.
Yeah, it's a kind of mixture, business and yes. Yeah.
I think by the end of the day, we're all individuals with our own point of view, with our own ideas about how to do the business, how to do sales, how to do networking. And it's up to us how to decide. And
maybe such multiple choices, that's a good solution, because everyone can choose for himself what he wants exactly.
That's right.
And
that's
what society he wants, yes.
And the variety is out there. There's a lot of networks. You can choose the big ones, the small ones, the mid-sized ones.
Yes.
And you just got to see which one fits you better, which one makes you feel more comfortable. And in the end, of course, seen from an economical point of view, you have to see which pays out better.
Yes, absolutely.
We always have to consider these facts. I mean, each network charges your membership fee.
Yes.
So do I.
What you get back at least,
it's not only okay what you pay, but by the end of the day, you have to consider what you get back from the network.
Yes.
How much business you're able to display there by yourself, and how much business you're going to get back.
Okay. Viktor, first time we met, it was 2012.
2013 it was. 13. Exactly.
You came to Kiev.
I was visiting you in Kiev.
You visit in Kiev just to meet me.
That's right.
And make an offer to join the network C5C, as far as I remember. So during that time, you had even logo. We have personal approach. So you selected members by personal visiting them and talking to them.
That's right.
So what's already have been changed? What the situation now? How do you find new members? How do you select them, and how do you invite them?
We're still trying to keep our system by visiting our members, recruiting our members personally. Back in the days, I was really going crazy. I think it was way more than 250 days of traveling every year.
This is part of our job.
So this is part of our job, and basically it was like this typical living from the suitcase lifestyle, like every 3 days changing the city. So you would only take out 3 shirts from your suitcase. No need to unpack completely, and it was an amazing time actually. It was doing that for way longer than 10 years, 12 years, something like that.
And you know, You know, it looks too familiar, like in my country. Sometimes people were moving that if you want to make a great deal with person, you should look eye to eye the first.
You have to. And I think that is also what our members are expecting from us. They want to see our certain process, the due diligence process, which we're taking in recruiting new members. They want to see what is their approach, how much do they know about them. Of course, you cannot always travel. There is members joining us upon recommendation, members whom we get to know during exhibitions, etc. So there is several ways how we approach new members. Corona made things very, very difficult for us in the beginning, but then still we found our ways, and nowadays with video calls, it's nice to at least have a personal meeting, more personal than it is over the phone. But nevertheless, meeting via pixels is still only my second choice. First choice is still you go there, you meet in the office, maybe have some lunch or some dinner thereafter. Not only to see the office, but also to create that personal relationship. Because for me, when I visit a company, I also want to get that gut feeling about a potential new member.
I understand.
I just want to see whether it's just another fisherman member, sorry to say that, or whether I really see the ambition to join a new network, to see how you can utilize the agents, what business can I bring into the group, how much interaction is there going to be, how can I put myself as an active and ambitious member into the network. So this gut feeling you don't get over a video call, maybe only a little bit, but for sure you're not gonna get it by just exchanging emails. So you have to establish that personal relationship.
Yeah, very good approach. What can I say? It's the same story when the first you work for the name, and the name works for you, right?
That's true. That's true. Okay. And people do remember maybe only like a little bit of what you tell them by email, but people will remember your first
wording,
meeting
what
and
first impression.
The relationship.
Yes.
Exactly.
Do you believe in first impression?
Yes and no. I would say in most of the cases the first impression is right, and it's giving you a certain gut feeling about someone or some company. But of course, the more you get to know somebody, the more you learn about that person, and the more interesting the relationship also gets. So,
a sweet question: financial protection, is it myth or reality, or what's your opinion, please? What's your experience?
For us, it is reality. Yes. we do offer a financial protection program. We do that since day one. Our program is a little bit different compared to other programs. Different approach, not being run by an insurance company, but by ourselves instead.
Okay.
And but it's working. We have good.
Can imagine if 17 years already should be.
Even more in the first network. Yes. It's working since 2004, 2005. So we have quite some history in that tool. And
so you are personally as a freight forwarder, you know what the story is. Okay.
Exactly.
Then the question is, okay. 5 networks, you said.
Right.
Do you often involve in any dispute between members? I mean, conflict situations or something?
Yes, we do.
Because I know that some networks don't want to be involved, some involved. Okay. So what's your position? What's your opinion about it?
My opinion is that I see it as my obligation to get involved in dispute management, frankly speaking. I don't think that it's the right approach to offer a platform and then by the end of the day to withdraw yourself from the day-to-day business. Because if you withdraw yourself from dispute management, that means you withdraw yourself from the essential parts. Let's face it, if you handle 10 shipments, 100 shipments with another agent, you don't need me for the day-to-day business. It's nice you have the B2B platform, you join our platform, you choose the agent, you do the business. But then the moment when there is a dispute arising, when there is an issue coming up, then you need me. And if I tell you then, well, sorry Dmytro, but this is none of my business, that's not a very, very serious approach. So We do take care of dispute management, and well, what can I tell you? It's very the range actually of disputes is very wide. Very often I notice a typical problem of today's times. We're living in these fast days.
Yes.
So sometimes disputes arise simply because people don't take the time to respond to inquiries properly or to respond to certain instructions properly. Maybe it's also because I'm reading the email while I'm driving my car and I'm just pushing the answer button too fast or whatever without having read through the whole email. It happens.
Yeah, it may happen.
And when we're getting involved, I see that very often, that a speedy response sometimes is
making a problem.
Is the door opener to the problem.
Itself, yeah.
Sometimes it's also language problems. I mean, it's same like for us. We have this interview now in English. It's not your mother tongue. It's not my mother tongue.
Yes.
And so English is like the number one language all over the world. But
yes.
How many native speakers are there? Only a few compared to the rest of the world. So it's a natural source of mistakes and of possible errors, and sometimes out of a little issue, maybe something bigger can evolve. So yeah, we try to get ourselves involved in that, and whenever we're asked, then we're happy to intervene. Coming from the logistics industry, I think is a big advantage, because I know those typical operational mistakes that can happen.
People make mistakes, yes.
And people
sure.
make mistakes. It's
yes.
All of us were no robots. We're just human beings. We try to do our very best every day, but we can do mistakes every now and then. And it's an interesting part actually of global networking to help to find a solution.
Absolutely, because I personally heard an opinion from one freight forwarding association that association management just presented a platform like Uber.
Yeah.
So you contact with each other. That's what it is. So completely different approach, and nice to know your opinion that you are usually involved in such such disputes, yes. Because when freight forwarders without any attention from management feel themselves like lost child or something like that.
I guess so. And I think I'm not familiar with it, but I think even at Uber you have a complaint board, right? So even if you have,
but it's just not multiple choice.
Okay. Now for us it's a little bit more.
And you have to know how to get it deeper. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
now for us it's then it's definitely more than with Uber only. That's right.
Okay. And my next question is, 17 years already. What's your plan for next 17, 10, 25 or whatever? Well, what's your strategy, vision? The world changing, as you said, we're living in the fast world. The change is coming very quickly and sometimes unexpected. So what's your opinion? What's your vision?
Well, I would say that most changes come unexpectedly. So we had no clue what's coming ahead of us in early 2020. And this is now we've reached the half of 2024. We don't know what's happening the rest of the year or next year. So for sure, I think as any entrepreneur, as any of our members, you need to be prepared for the future challenges. And it's exciting to see how the logistics industry on the one hand has to prepare themselves, and then also to see us as a network preparing ourselves to run with our members actually, and to support them wherever we can. So having said that, this is like one of our primary goals, to see for options where and how we can support our members. Is it with a more sophisticated payment program, for example, within our network, which we're currently working on? Is it IT challenges? We seriously have to look at AI.
AI, yes.
It's definitely going to change all our day-to-day business.
Pandora's box.
It already started, and so it's going to be very interesting to see how this will affect, on the one hand, our lives as a forwarder, and how it's going to affect the logistics industry as a whole, but maybe also how it affects us as a logistics association. What tools are there which we can provide to our members, maybe even easier as a platform, compared to if each and every member would look for those tools individually. So that definitely is some of the challenges. Yeah, well done. Looking back on 17 years, we definitely don't get younger.
No.
So
we were.
I wish we were, but it's not going to happen. So of course we have to prepare ourselves for the future. You met one of our new team members already over the last conferences.
Yeah.
So Andreas, he became a very, very important asset in the company and a very important part of our team. So it's basically not only Helmut and me, but it's the three of us now. And so yeah, more or less speaking about years, you can say that this is like sort of third generation coming in. And
yes,
that is definitely a part of the challenges which we are facing for the future. Not saying that any of us would retire, but I think it is very important to look for a solid platform for the networks, and that is, you can say, the vision for the next 17 years, and hopefully even more to come.
Yeah. So keep steady, right, for the future, because I may say that people usually afraid what they don't know. But if we get back for a short time, everyone was shocked with COVID.
Right.
But in fact, finally, many our colleagues proved that the earnings were quite good during COVID times.
Absolutely.
That's an issue.
Let's face it,
Yes.
everybody is wishing for a crystal ball on a regular basis. We want to have this crystal ball, but on the other hand, luckily we don't have it. Our life would be so boring.
Yes,
and
for sure.
Especially for us logistics people. I mean, I would say we're a bunch of people who are looking for challenges and new adventures.
Yes.
So how boring would be a logistics
same
life?
stable, yes.
No adventures, no challenges. So no, lucky us, we don't have the crystal ball.
We're not Amazon, right?
Exactly. So we can just prepare ourselves. And I think, well, like always, the unexpected actually keeps you fit. It keeps you sharp.
Yes,
You have to prepare yourself. I mean, you personally, in your personal situation, among with your citizens of your fellow country, you have to adjust to some complete new environment, and that is definitely a challenge which nobody wanted to go for, but that is the challenge actually which you have to master now, and it's a huge challenge, but then it's great to see how you master the challenge. And on the same way, it's also, we've been talking about this earlier, it's also exciting and a little bit frightening to see how things might develop, but this is the life, and this is the challenge as an entrepreneur, and we got to go for it.
So let's make this trip together, right? So I would like to thank you for this interview.
Thank you so much, Dmytro.
It was more maybe dispute than interview or conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dmytro.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
It was nice to, having you here. And one more most important issue, I would like to thank you and to say our gratitude for your government support my country right now. Thank you so much, guys. We do appreciate it. And Slava Ukraini.